Good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you're tuning in from. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Wednesday, May 4th, and going to get started with today's live stream momentarily. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so for people to jump on. All right, folks, I see we have some people jumping on. Welcome, welcome. Going to get started here in about 30 seconds or so. I've got an important update with regards to the HEXO and deep dive article, follow-up to the follow-up video that I did earlier on today, and thought I would make it a live stream because I would like to get some input from the community and just go over the most likely scenario that what we could potentially expect over the next coming weeks with HEXO and the Tilray deal specifically. All right, going to get started here in about 10 seconds. All right, welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. Again, it's May 4th, and going to do a follow-up video to the follow-up video that I did earlier today with regards to the deep dive article. So I will say apologies to Deep Dive. I jumped the gun. I thought that they were completely out to lunch. I didn't know where they were getting this information from, but with some help of some YouTube sleuths, we were able to track down exactly what it meant and, well, what I think it means. And that's why I wanted to do this live stream as well, is to get everybody's input to come to the most likely scenario. But full disclosure, again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just I'm not a lawyer. All this stuff's pretty convoluted, so I would like to get somebody's opinion on this who might be a little bit more in the know than me with regards to this legalese and all this legal jargon. So before we get to it, though, make sure to smash a like. It helps support me and the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. And if you're new here, subscribe and tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future updates. So again, did a video earlier today on a deep dive. I thought that they were spreading false information, but it turns out that 100 million that they were talking about in cash does have some merit to it. And that was a follow-up video to this video. And this is a follow-up video to my follow-up video. But essentially, they raised 40 million at the market offering, and they were only down to about 14 million in working and non-restricted capital. So long story short, they came out with this article, and it was pretty bearish from title to the end. So I thought it was just another FUD. You know, they were just being FUDsters, and it was another FUD campaign because it was just, bearish and negativity after negativity. And there's some good things to be looking out for as well with this Tilray deal, right? But they don't mention any of the positives. They're just 100% negative. But then there was this part here. So at the end here, it said, notably with respect to the prospectus filing this morning, HEXO identified that its non-restricted cash position fell from 37.7 to 14 million, like I mentioned. The result is that the company is currently less than 2 months of the cash burn remaining in company coffers and is a far cry from the 100 million required to be available for the closing of the transaction with Tilray Brands. So if there's somebody from Deep Dive, or if there's somebody who can make sense of this, why they're thinking that they need to have this 100 million prior to the deal. So I went on the website for HEXO, went through all of their stuff, all their financials, all these CDR filings. And it turns out that you know who you are on YouTube. Your name is escaping me at the moment. If I click on the actual video, though, just go down here. So it was Q&A Enterprise. He shared it from the prospectus. So it was hidden here underneath material documents. And there was 4 different instances of these material documents. So I must have clicked on one twice, thinking I clicked on the 4th one, and I was just clicking on the 3rd one twice. But anyway, the last one that I didn't check was actually this one here, which is actually exactly where we needed to go to see this 100 million that Deep Dive is talking about. So again, kudos to all the YouTube sleuths and Q&A Enterprise there, and apologies to Deep Dive. It looks like it does have some merit to it, but I don't think they really understood it correctly, or maybe I'm not understanding it correctly. Again, wanted to do a live stream to get everybody's opinion, and I'll highlight it here. So you can see in the prospectus on that document. So if you go in here to CDAR, you just go to HEXO Investors CDAR filing and then scroll down, and then you'll see April 19th, and then it's the first one, material document. And if you open it up here and you scroll down to page 57, not 60 up here, but 57 on the actual page, it says here under number 11, the company shall have a cash balance, tongue twister, cash balance of not less than 100 million after giving effect to a release of all conditions in any blocked accounts and restricted cash of the company and its subsidiaries, and excluding cash in captive insurance policies. It continues, the purchaser shall have received a certificate, basically just given to by the CEO or the CFO, one of the two of the company, dated as the closing date, due to the foregoing effect in the form of acceptable, if it's accepted by the purchaser. And something we have to be aware of as well is when the parties are friendly. So when there's, in this transaction, it's Tilray, HEXO, and High Trail Investments, right? HTI. So if all parties are friendly in the transaction, which it seems like they are, because we know in my previous video that I did, that they actually dropped the, I'm just going to pause that. They actually dropped the default on the note, right? So that was something that they waived. And again, it just looks like they're very friendly toward HEXO. So I don't think this is, a make or break. Again, I think this whole article of deep dive, right? It starts off negative from the article, and then it goes and takes a cheap shot at their cash position, and then it talks about how they're well underneath this 100 million requirement, and then it goes on to talk about how they're getting delisted, right? Like, it couldn't be any more bearish than that. So it just seems like they wanted to paint a bearish picture, but it doesn't look like this is the case. What I think this is at the time of the closing, HEXO's to have $100 million in non-restricted cash. And the reason why I think that, and it's not necessarily what they need to have, maybe it is, again, I'm looking for input on this as well, and maybe somebody from the deep dive, if you're listening to this, if you can come on and correct me. But I would ask, though, if you're going to take a cheap shot and take all these negative things, maybe throw a couple positive things in there, like, oh, well, if the Tilray deal goes through, they're going to have access to $282 million, right, which is probably going to keep them afloat for multiple years. So again, we need to incorporate the positive with the negative. Again, I think that this is the reason why I'm doing 3 videos on this is because it's very important, right? If this Tilray deal doesn't go through, like, this got me pretty up in arms today, because I was like, oh, I totally skipped over this part. What are they talking about? And then the way they word it, how negative they are from start to finish, it's kind of hard not to get a little worked up, right? But again, I just looked at this. I said, well, this doesn't make sense, because if they did a 40 million at the market offering, why would they raise 40 million? Because we know that this was back here in material document on April 19th. So they've known for, they've probably known since the deal began on March 3rd. All right. So if that was a stipulation in here, they must have a plan. So here's my thesis, and here's my hypothetical situations. So scenario 1, this is just what they get at the closing of the deal, that HEXO will not have any less than $100,000, $100 million at the time of the closing. And the reason why I think this is because if you go back to the second quarter 22 results, it says here that HEXO's financial condition is positioned to be significantly strengthened by the proposed restructuring of debt, allowing for access up to $282 million in cash. Like, why wasn't Deep Dive saying that, right? And if you're going to say something negative like this and then say the 100 million, at least explain it. Don't just say, oh, that's a far cry off. It's like, well, I'm not even sure that's really what it means, right? I don't think they have to have 100 million, because then it goes on to say here that they will have 102 million in unrestricted cash as a result of the Tilray deal, and then 180 million through the backstop, which we know was announced here in one of their previous articles, right? They said that they was just subject to certain conditions, but they didn't mention the 100 million until recently. And then it says here both that 100 million and the 180 million. So the way I understand it is, upon close, they did the at-the-market offering because they don't need to have $100 million in cash right now. That's why they're doing the Tilray deal. The reason why they did the 40 million was to pay for the Tilray legal fees, all that stuff, financial advisor in the deal. And they also paid for their ongoing operating expenses and the debt, right? The deal hasn't completed with Tilray, so that debt holder still needs to get paid. So what I think is happening is they're raising that $40 million to get them by for the next month or two until the Tilray deal closes, which is set to close in the next month or two. It'll also pay for the debt. Anything over excess of $30 million will pay for the debt of or the fees for Tilray and just overall operating expenses, right? So then at the end of the deal closing, HEXO will be left with no less than $100 million in cash from the capital that's restricted in that debt. I think that's what's going to happen is $100 million is going to get relinquished or released into HEXO. And then I'm pretty sure the way it states is 160, the outstanding principal shall be the amount equal to or greater than 160 million. So again, I'm pretty sure that's the way. I don't think they have to have $100 million rather, before this deal, like they're saying, right? They're saying that's a far cry from the 100 million required to be available for the closing of the transaction with Tilray Brands. Well, when I read this, it kind of sounds like after giving effect to a release of all conditions in any blocked accounts and restricted cash of the company and its subsidiaries, excluding the cash from captive insurance policies. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that scenario one is they don't actually need to have $100 million in cash, but after the deal is done and this restructuring of the debt with Tilray and High Trail Investments, HEXO is going to be left with $100 million in cash, right? Because it says here that they're going to have $102 million in unrestricted cash, which lines up perfectly. And we know they have $14 million right now. And they're also going to get $180 million through Chaos Capital and partners like Redican family and stuff, right? So that's $282 million that they're going to have. That'll easily get them by for the next couple of years. But again, Deep Dive didn't say any of that. But again, scenario two, what I could see happening is, what do we know that I did a video on recently as well? It was the CPG partnership. So we could see that partnership released in the coming weeks is what they said, right? Vincent Ciara. So if they're going to release this CPG partner news in the next few weeks, well, why wouldn't, like, they wouldn't release a new deal with a CPG partner if this deal wasn't going to go through? Because if this deal with Tilray doesn't go through, that's a big problem, right? We have a major big problem if this doesn't go through, right? But there's another scenario that I was thinking today. What if the CPG partner has some sort of cash injection component? So if we know that that partnership's coming within the next few weeks, obviously HEXO isn't going anywhere. They're just signing a deal with a Molson Coors caliber new food company, right? They're going to be making food products, granola bars, and much more food products. Well, it must be that the Tilray deal is going to go through, right? And like I said, if these parties are all friendly, they'll make it work, right? They'll budge on it. It doesn't have to be exactly that or even remotely close sometimes, right? If it's beneficial for everybody, then, and I think they're all pretty friendly. I think they're all working in the benefit of one another. And again, I think that another possibility is we see HEXO announce a CPG partner and we potentially see a royalty type deal where, HEXO gets a certain percent on every sale of the products up, and then maybe they even get a cash injection from the CPG partner, and then it's almost like a loan, and then they just pay it back until the royalties, until it's paid back in full, and then they collect the royalties from there, right? Because we know that HEXO told us that it was going to be a functional food, so everything's been correct up to now. It's just been taking a lot longer. So if it's going to be functional foods, and they said it was going to be a royalty deal, then it only makes sense that we could potentially see that happen, right? Sorry, I getting pretty dry here. So again, I'll open it up as well. If anybody has anything they want to add to this, if you agree with me, disagree with me, let me know. If you think I'm incorrect about how I'm reading this or how Deep Dive mentioned this, but we got to get away from this completely bearish bias. Like when there's a lot of good things to talk about as well with regards to this Tilray deal, and they didn't mention any of it, right? They didn't mention that HEXO was going to have $102 million in unrestricted cash plus $180 million backstop through Chaos Capital and $282 million total, which should keep them afloat for 2 years. No, instead they go negative, a triple negative, and kicking people essentially when they're down, right? This isn't intellectual honesty, and that's why I just automatically thought they were out to lunch, but because I thought I would have heard about this by now, but they did a pretty good job covering this up. So if you're wondering, is the Tilray deal going to go through? I think like 95 to 99% sure it's going to go through. And like I said, with the CPG partner coming out in the next few weeks, it could even be there could even be a cash component to that deal, right? We don't know what kind of deal they inked. So again, the most important thing for me is seeing that this went through. But again, something that reassures me is that this was in the this was in this original agreement, right? So HEXO's known about this for a long time. So I just didn't know if this was something new, because they just like dropped a bombshell on me, and I was like, I never heard of that, right? And I don't even think they're understanding it correctly. But I thought it was something new. But if it's old, and HEXO knew about it on March 3rd when they made the deal, or the definitive agreement on the 19th, well, they easily had tons of time to prepare for that, right? And they just did an at-the-market offering. And if they actually needed $100 million, or if they thought that they were going to be in trouble, they would have done it through the ATM. So they must have a plan, right? Like I don't think they would have just said, oh yeah, no, we're just going to ignore that, right? Obviously they would have made a plan for it. And like I said, if they didn't think they were going to have the $100 million at the close of the Tilray deal, if that was needed, then they just would have tapped the ATM a little bit more, you would think, right? And they had a previous ATM for $150 million, and we know from the previous prospectus that they only tapped about $75 million of that. So they originally planned for $150 million, but they only tapped $75 million. Granted, the share price is a lot lower now. So when they do the ATM at $40 million, you're looking at like 80-some million shares, but or whatever it equates to. So again, I don't think this is anything we need to worry about. The reason why I made 3 videos is because I was a little concerned, right? Like I want to know about the good and the bad. I don't want to, everybody thinks I just come on here and I talk about the bullish stuff, because I'm majority of the time bullish with regards to the long-term prospect of HEXO. It's got all the makings of a top 5 global cannabis company, but you got to think there's obviously going to be some challenges, and this was one thing that caught me off guard. And this is a huge deal, right? If this was a big stipulation in the deal, but again, I don't think they understood it correctly. And again, there could also be scenario number 2, which is the CPG partner that they're going to be releasing within the next few weeks. There could be a cash injection there, right? So there's so many options, but Tilray deal looks like it's set to close, right? This whole thing sparked from the ATM, but we know that some of that is to pay for Tilray fees. So again, that just tells me that the deal's going through as planned. We have nothing to worry about, and yeah, I don't think that this is going to sway anything, and it just. All of it's lining up here, like I said, going back to their financials. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. If it doesn't, let me know. I can kind of clarify it. I am going to the playoff round 2 Oilers game tonight. Got to get ready for that soon. Looking forward to that. But I was at the first playoff game too. I wasn't going to go to this game, but there's a pretty good deal that came online. A friend recommended an app to me as well, and yeah, I got a pretty good deal on it, so I figured why not. But man, the atmosphere at the playoffs here in Edmonton is just second to none. Fantastic. First time ever at a playoff game. This will be my second time tonight. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, if I didn't explain things enough, let me know. But I'm pretty sure I've got to the end of this now. My brain's kind of mush after the last couple of days trying to figure all this stuff out. And, it just goes to show you how rigged this is against the retail investor. Like, I study this stuff day in, day out, and I'm by no means an accountant or a lawyer or a legal professional, right? And all this stuff is really intense, to really wrap your head around. And there's just so much going on with regards to the mergers and the deal with Tilray and, all these intermediaries. It's a lot to handle. So I think I got to the bottom of it. I was a little concerned. Again, I want to know about the bad as well, because if I see, if I see HEXO is going in front of a train, I don't want to be on the train. And they're heading into a wall. I don't want to be on the train if they're heading into a wall, right? I want to be getting off before I'll get off on the last stop or the second last stop. I'm not going to lose all my investment capital, right? I'll probably keep a certain amount, but I'll trim some for sure. Like if I see that bankruptcy or something like that is a legitimate concern, then. But right now I don't see it. Right now I see the CPG partners signed. They're going to be releasing in a few weeks. They've got all these new products coming out. I did a video of their Readies Plus, which is that their new infused pre-rolls. You can check that out as well. Pretty cool. But they've got all these new products coming out. 13 new beverages with trusts and Redibles. They got the edibles now. Quebec just opening edibles as well. And we know that they're going to be selling their first edibles through the CPG partner, they said, by the summertime, right? And like, it's going to be to the SQDC. This is all what they said. They were going to pilot it in Quebec, and Quebec would be their first market. So everything that they said is coming to fruition. It just took a lot longer, right? Take a look at the chat here now. Aman, how you doing, man? Hey, Rod, do you think HEXO can make it to 3 to 5 Canadian in a year or so without reverse split? I don't know if the reverse split is going to happen or not. It's a possibility, like it's a real good possibility. I don't think it's the end of the world, though. Even if it does, I think it's pretty much priced into this point, given the fact that we had the vote on the proxy. What was it? Back in March or something like that. So it's been months, right? So I think that's pretty much priced in, and everybody saw the 14-1 and got freaked out, right? So I don't think it's a big deal, but I think, yeah, we can get back to 3 to 5 Canadian within a year. And like I said, safe banking now has, they're saying that has over a 50% chance of passing. So if everybody's wondering, well, what's going to take us out of this rut? Well, MSOS had a new all-time low today as well. Granted, HEXO didn't see as much green into the end of the day as a lot of other names, but it has been beaten down, right? But it'll probably catch up, in my opinion, in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, we were down today and all-time lows. We need a catalyst. We need something to knock us out of this rut. And what that's going to be is a sector-wide catalyst. When we're weekly oversold and heading to monthly oversold on a lot of MJ names, like across the sector, not just HEXO, not just Canadian MJ, but the whole MJ sector, you need a sector-wide catalyst. You need something big, usually news-related, that's going to snap it out of it, right? So you need to get, in my opinion, safe banking needs to pass. That's what I think is going to snap us out of it, because I can't really picture anything else, or like full-blown legalization. But again, I don't think that's going to go first. I think safe's going to go first, so that the big banks and financial institutions can get positioned for when it does go legal, just like they did when Canada legalized, right? But yeah, I absolutely think it could get to $3 to $5 in the next year. Deep dive articles are for shorts. Yeah, exactly, right? So, and that's why I jumped to conclusions, is because a lot of people in our community as well, in the private POW group community, were talking about that. And yeah, a couple of people said that wasn't the first time. And speaking of which, we're going to be doing a free giveaway as well. So mark your calendar on the Saturday, May 14th. I'm going to do a live stream just like I'm doing right now. And I'll just pick a random comment. Do one of those random giveaways where it picks 2 random comments. So as long as you join the live stream on May 14th, I'll schedule it as well, like a couple hours in advance, so you'll know when it's going to be. So it's not just drop it on you, but I'll probably schedule a few hours in advance, and then I'll do the live giveaway. And it's 2 annual memberships valued at $150. And like I said, we were talking about that today, how the deep dive articles are just, sometimes they just borderline false information. But more or less, for shorts, basically, and just painting a negative picture. Like I said, in that article, it was a triple negative, right? Even like a quadruple negative. Even the article name was negative from the get-go. But they didn't say that, if the till radio closes, HEXO will have enough cash to operate for the next several years, and they're expecting to be profitable from their operations within the next 1 year or so. So, yeah, they failed to mention that, and they failed to, and then they just like nonchalant drop and they need $100 million for this teal radio to go through. It's like, how about you explain that, please, right? Don't just quadruple negative us, and explain the good, explain the bad, be unbiased, like do your job, report. Don't well, again, they're all paid, right? All these companies that you see, these press releases, they're just being paid by the traditional media, right? All mainstream media. But couldn't agree more. Late, but here, you bet. Yeah, so thanks, Sycamore Style. You were one of the ones who contributed. So if you go back, I did give you guys a shout out earlier. Thanks for the info. You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. JD, how you doing? Let's go Oilers. And Edmonton downtown real estate market sucks. Oh, yeah. It's awesome. If you're a long-term buyer, if you're a long-term holder of real estate here, yeah, it's not too good. I'll show you the video. If you didn't see it, I assume you must have seen this video, but I put my next big investment. Hang on a second. Condo market. So my next big move, that's what it was. My next big investment, downtown Edmonton condo market. So you must have seen this video. If not, that's funny. But anyway, you can check that out if you want to see more on that. But anyway, it's it's been on a brutal downturn, right, for 15 years, really since like 2007. The condo market in Edmonton has just been on a straight decline. And the condo I bought downtown here, it's a 1-bedroom, beautiful, like it was move-in ready, like it's barely needs any work, and you know, dishwasher, there's a sauna and a gym and a pool. It's awesome. I love it here. And it sold in 2007 for $240,000 or $239,000, and then it sold again in 2011 for $200,000, and then I bought it like in the fall for $70,000. Like, that, isn't that wild? And like, you got to think too, the purchasing power of the dollar and inflation has gone up a lot since then. So $240,000 back in 2007 was a lot of money, right? And yeah, it's go Oilers for sure. But I think we're on the inevitable correction in that on that front. But yeah, it's nuts here. If you're looking for an investment property, it's probably one of the best in my opinion. Amon, thanks, Rod. You're welcome. I still see we have quite a few people joining us with us after close to 30 minutes. Again, I'm going to start wrapping it up here. Go Oilers. Go Oilers, go. Really looking forward to it. They lost to LA, upsetting loss. That was such a good game, though. But yeah, we lost, like just barely missed the net, too, with like 7 seconds left or something like crazy like that. But we better win tonight. So give it another couple seconds. Like I said, I think we have close to 20 people still watching. So if anybody has anything at all that you want to add, again, to clear up with this, I'm pretty much going to be done with this topic. I've been thinking about it for the last 2 days, and I'm pretty sure it's a non-concern. I talked to a few other people as well that have quite a bit of like extensive business knowledge and acumen and dealing kind of experience with deals and things like that. Yeah, they think the Tilray's deal is going to go through, and I think it's going to go through. A lot of people in our group think it's going to go through. And like even Tilray said, HEXO was working with leading CPG players, keyword players, a couple months ago. And then just a week ago, we found out that HEXO is going to be releasing its new CPG partner within 3 weeks. Within a few weeks. They didn't say 3 weeks, but within weeks. So it's like, you see how rigged everything kind of is? Like right before the CPG partner news comes out, Tilray magically gets positioned. And I'm still convinced that HEXO had a poison pill. They issued a poison pill. It was a defense strategy to avoid a hostile takeover. Because, I mean, you got to think, the company is under 200 million. It was under 200 million market cap at one point, and Tilray still couldn't take them out. Still didn't take them over. To me, I just think it's maybe we'll never know, but it just seems like it was a poison pill. And even to this day, Tilray says, I think Irwin Simon and Tilray have said on three separate occasions now, HEXO will remain independent. It's like, why? You got to think why though, right? And then Tilray gets positioned right before. It's just how the game is played, right? And the best companies work with the best companies, and they both succeed. You know, you want all boats rising, and a lot of the smaller companies are going to get really destroyed, right? And I know a lot of people hate to hear that because you're going to support local and things like that. But, you know, I'm also a realist, and I'm not going to just invest my money into a local shop because I want to invest local. I'll buy local, right? I'll do all the stuff that I can to do that. But if I'm going to invest my hard-earned dollars, I'm going to put it where I think the most return is, right? I mean, obviously, MJ hasn't been the greatest return over the last year, but you know, who thought we were going to go into a 16-month bear market? But again, this is why when you're in monthly and weekly downtrends, you don't want to be going too heavy, right? And this is why I diversify into multiple other asset classes, right? I have more real estate. I have more cash. More of my net worth in cash right now than I do in any other investment. And that's just because of how uncertain the times are right now in the huge bubble. We did have the Fed interest rate come in saying that they don't think it's going to cause a recession. It came in at the 0.5% increase that they were talking about at 1% now. And the market exploded. And like I said, I think we're going to see a sell in May go away. I've been saying that for months now. I don't think that the market top is over, but we need to see the market top and tech top and crypto top. And then I think we're going to see MJ bull market begin after that, right? But again, I have more crypto than I do MJ at the moment. And I'm going to be adding to my TFSA. I did add a little bit, but I saved about half of my TFSA contribution room for the year to add in case MJ does fall further, right? Because if SPY enters a bear market and sees a nasty drop, well, you know, are you guys prepared? Or like maybe you don't need to be prepared. Maybe you're fine just buying and holding. You're not really paying attention. That's one way to do it as well. Or you can dollar cost average. That's my strategy. When things are down, you know, over 80%, I just dollar cost average and I hold, right? That's what I did with crypto. It worked out great. Changed my life. That's, you know, I bought real estate in a market where it was completely down and nobody wanted it, and it was completely undervalued to the rest of Canada. And then I sold those 2 properties, and then I moved out west here, where the economy is completely in shambles in terms of, you know, the condo market and stuff. And I'll swoop in here and buy it on the cheap and look to do the same in a few years, right? So when you're buying things when they're cool and accepted by the public, like if you need to read a mainstream media article supporting you, supporting your thought process to feel good about the investment, you're probably too late, right? Just like I was telling people years ago to buy Tesla. I said to my friend, I remember still saying to my friend at $200, I said, buy Tesla. This was like 3 years ago. I was like, man, buy Tesla. He's like, oh, I think it's going to go to 100. I'm like, man, anything now, just buy it and hold it. Like Tesla at $200. And then it goes to like 3,000 and some if you don't factor in the split. It was just nuts, right? So but again, when I was buying Tesla, there was FUD article. They're going bankrupt. They make less cars in a year than Toyota makes in a month. They don't make any money, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, they were completely wrong, right? Just basically do the opposite. Jim Cramer, opposite. Rossum 1, wow, have properties in Southern Ontario. Looks like I may have to shift my focus to Edmonton. Yeah, my 2 no-buy zones are Ontario and Prince Edward Island because the market's just insane. Like I said, my friend bought a house 4 years ago in PEI and it over doubled in 4 years. Like, when has that ever happened? Like, ever? I don't think it has. Aman, do you think HEXO will be able to sell stuff in states after legalization whenever it happens? Yeah, I do. I really do. Considering states already have their local companies for MJ, I think they will, yeah, because we've seen time and time again where like David Klein, CEO of Canopy, which is an executive from Constellation Brands, which is, guess what, is an American company. Why do they have an investment in Canopy? Molson Coors, right? Well, go figure, right? Another alcohol company. There's tobacco companies like Altria, India Kronos. Why are all of these American companies and tobacco and alcohol companies focusing on LPs if they wouldn't be able to export to the U.S. eventually? It wouldn't make any sense, or else they'd be buying up all the MSOs, right? So now they got a foothold on Canada and international markets, and then when U.S. opens up, they'll have all these, 300 some million people to sell to. And by then, they'll already own Canada and the rest of the international markets, pretty much, right? All Germany and the EU. And yeah, like Latin. And it's, I think it's going to happen. Even VFF, Village Farms CEO, said he believes that they're going to be able to grow and ship THC and cannabis products, flower, over the border. And Aurora said that they were hopeful as that as well. So like all these companies, out of how much money they have and how much intelligence they have and consulting and working with all the industry players, like why do they all think this, and why are all the big American alcohol and tobacco companies partnering with LPs, right? So I really do think so. And MSOs are going to get really crushed, and HEXO even said they're going to be doing white labeling for MSOs. So be able to make products. They're a products company. They're going to manufacture products, and they're going to white label, meaning they're going to put somebody else's label on it, but it's going to be powered by HEXO, right? Christian, welcome. I see a question mark, but I don't see a question before that, so I'm not sure what. Oh, you said something right after that. What is your price target with HEXO? Somebody asked that earlier. They said, do I think it can get to 3 to 5 in the next year or so without reverse split? I think so. But reverse split might happen as well. This, again, guys, this is something we need to be aware of. Reverse split can happen. we could see another raise at some point right before HEXO turns profitable. We know it's going to be another 4 or 5 quarters probably, but they're well underway. Scott was brought in to cut costs, in my opinion, and he didn't really seem like he was that interested. And he would always dodge questions off on the earnings call to Valerie and stuff like that. And yeah, it just didn't seem like he was going to be there for long. He came in with a mission, was to cut costs, and now we've got Charlie coming in, who's got the the food and beverage experience. And just so happens we have a CPG partner coming up that's into the food business, so making granola bars and much more fruit products, right? So it only makes sense to have Charlie come in, and he has a lot of experience with the U.S. And guess what? CPG partner is probably going to be also selling in the U.S. because they'll be able to do it through CBD, right? But they'll also be able to sell THC in Canada. So whoever this partner is, they might have a dual partnership where maybe there's another entity that's created, or HEXO just gets a royalty deal. I'm not exactly sure what this is going to look like. I think so, because that's what they said in the Ask Me Anything with Trent. It was going to be a royalty type thing, right? And then they even said cosmetics. So that's something the market isn't pricing in as well, is what if they see the food CPG partner, and then shortly after we see the cosmetic one, right? Maybe we see like a L'Oreal or something like that, right? Because we know that they bought 48 North, those creams, right? And all those topicals. That's going to lead for a lot of opportunities with these major Fortune 200 and 500 companies, right? So I think $3 to $5 is easily doable. I'm thinking $10 over the next 1 to 2 years. We were just at $14 Canadian a year ago, right? And how quickly did it shoot up from $2? It took like 6 months. It went from $2 to $14. What's going to happen when we have safe banking? What's going to happen when we have full-blown legalization in the U.S.? What's going to happen when New York starts rec sales? What's going to happen when Germany legalizes? What's going to happen when the rest of the EU legalizes, right? Like full-blown legalization everywhere. This is, again, like we're so early. And the main thing is Tilray deal closes. Will HEXO go bankrupt? I did a video on that, Zeke. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, I did a video on that already. And I mentioned like 6 options that they had before going bankrupt. And I knew I didn't get them all. And sure enough, one that I never thought of was, another LP coming and bailing them out. And so trouble ahead is HEXO going bankrupt. Check that out. It's got over 2.2K views. But yeah, I said, bankruptcy is like not realistic right now. Like there's so many options. And I listed out like 6 or 8 different options of what they had before going bankrupt. And then sure enough, what came to their savior was their savior out of it all was Tilray. And I never even thought that another LP would come in, right? I said an outside investor, so I guess I was technically correct, but I never thought another LP would come in, right? But yeah, so I don't think they're going bankrupt. If Tilray deal closes, HEXO, like I said, just look right here from their financials. Where'd it go? There it is. Once the deals close, HEXO's financial condition is positioned to be significantly strengthened by the proposed restructuring of the debt, which is going to be purchased by Tilray, allowing for access to up to approximately $282 million in cash, and that's not taking into account the synergies that they're going to save with regards to the deal with Tilray. That's not taking into account all the layoffs that they did. Heart goes out to those the 230 people at Belleville and the other facilities as part of the mergers and acquisitions. But yeah, that's not factoring in any of those cost savings. They also got rid of just a bunch of other things that are weighing on them, right? And cash burn wise. So again, I think like $282 million, that'll get them by for years, right? So as long as this Tilray deal goes through, HEXO's fine for years, and they're forecasting that they're going to be cash flow positive within the next 4 quarters or so. So again, if they're good for years after this Tilray deal with that $282 million, and they've been cut costs, they've been downsizing, cutting costs like crazy, not just HEXO, many other LPs and companies doing it as well, right? So, we're just in a bear market. We're in a 15-month bear market at the moment, heading on 16 months, and all USMJ is heading to monthly oversold. We had a sell alert go off on TrueLeave on the PowBot sell alert back on the 23rd of April. It's down 23% or something like that since that sell alert went off on TrueLeave. But, you know, you don't hear anything from the MSO gang anymore, right? They always bash in LPs and stuff. But now they're all heading to monthly oversold, and they realize that, oh, I guess MJ all moves in tandem, right? To a certain extent, right? It's because it's a nascent industry, and there's just no money in it right now. Like I said, HEXO's market cap is valued at $200 million, and when the Tilray deal closes, they're going to have $282 million in cash, right? And their market cap is only $200 million, right? That should tell you that bankruptcy, if the Tilray deal doesn't close, and for some reason we never hear about a CPG partner, which I don't think is the case because they said it's going to be coming within the next few weeks, and they've already like basically struck a deal with the SQDC. They're going to have products there by the summertime. Well, that tells me that it's pretty much going to go through. But if the deal, we wake up and the Tilray deal's canceled, and we, you know, in a month or two we don't hear anything about a CPG partner, then yeah, we can be like, okay, bankruptcy is a real possibility. But right now, everything's in line to close with Tilray deal, and when it closes, they're going to have $282 million in cash, right? And if we just do HEXO Yahoo Finance, didn't spell it right, but close enough. And then we go here and we check out what is their market cap, $219 million, right? So this is opportunity, right? Most people are, you know, completely disgusted, but you can kind of understand it with the, I realized I wasn't sharing my screen there, but you can kind of understand it with the last year that we've been having. But there's a lot of things to be bullish on, right? And like I said, I don't think we're going bankrupt anytime soon. Tesla is going to split shares again soon. Do you think it could be a buying opportunity again? No, I wouldn't. No, I told people to buy it and then on the last rip sell it, but I wouldn't. I mean, it could keep going up, but if you look back what happened in the .com days, I was going to show you, but I don't want to. And after time, you'll just have to take my word for it or go look. On the .com days, right in the 2000 bubble, before the .com bubble peaked, they had a bunch of share splits in Amazon and a bunch of other tech companies. And I think that's to entice retail to buy, right? Because they don't want to buy it when Tesla's at $1,000 or $500. But if it goes to $100, they will buy it. So at the end of the cycle, when they know we're about to hit a top of a bull market and enter a prolonged bear market in the broader market and the tech sector and all these high-flying stocks, what they do is they do a share split, you know, leading up to that top, and then all the retail buys here after the split because they're like, sweet, I can afford it now at $100 instead of $1,000 or whatever the split is going to be, and then they pawn it off on retail and then they collapse it, right? That's what happened, and then Amazon dropped 95% after that, right? So I think they could be doing a similar thing where they're enticing people to buy. They're getting retail to be able to buy the top because they can't afford one share at $1,000 or $2,000, right? Amazon, what is it, $3,500 or $2,800 or whatever it was after the crash. But you know, Canadian dollars, that's over $3,000, right? So, but if it's trading 20 to 1 and it's trading at like $150, well, you know, most retail is probably going to buy a couple shares, and then that's when the market makers dump it, right? So just be careful with those splits, right? This late in the game, I wouldn't trust the market makers as far as I could throw them. Just look what they did with the MJ market over the last year. It's insane. Christian, super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Aman, my top MJ holdings are HEXO, SNDL, Tilray, High Tide, VFF. Any other suggestion for MJ sector? Yeah, that's a great holding. I did a top 5 MJ holdings. Just go to my channel and then search Power Group top 5 cannabis holdings. I do my top 5 in Canada. I do my top 5 in the US, but I did buy High Tide as well. That I didn't mention in that video. So I like High Tide. I think I also did a video on High Tide on why I flipped bullish on them. So you can check that out as well. But I recently, I think that the retail sector is you're gonna see a lot of consolidation, just like LPs, and a lot of the small shops, unfortunately, are gonna die off just because there's too many of them. And then I think there's gonna be a lot of consolidation and mergers with the LPs, with the retailers. And they're also starting to drop their prices a lot, right? So they're gonna start clawing back a lot of market share from the black market. But yeah, like the deals are unreal. You can get a 28 G's for $60 Canadian now at the store, right? And it's like 16% like it's pretty good stuff, right, from HEXO. There's some there for like $75, $99. You can get like 22%. The new Redican Readies, the infused pre-rolls are 25%. So those are going to be wild, and they're infused with distillate. It's going to be fun. It sucks because everybody, it used to all come to Alberta first, and then it stopped, and now they're selling it all to Ontario. But I think that's a good thing, right? Because Ontario, big market, a lot of people, the most in Canada. So yeah, you guys can focus on Ontario. I'll sit back and wait. Right. But yeah, check that video out for any other top holdings. I really like Cannara Biotech. I think they're going to struggle maybe for the next few months though, until they get the Valleyfield operations going. But I really think that they've got great brands, they've got great products, and great loyalty from their customers, and they really understand the customer very well. But they still don't have nationwide distribution in Canada. And then it's, worrying about the US. So they got a lot of proving to do. So that one's one of my lower holdings. But yeah, I like what you're holding. Just check out that other video as well, An Effort of Time. I will. Perfect. Why would it not go through? The Tilray deal? Zeke, is that what you mean? The Tilray deal? Well, it might not go through because of that. Well, like Deep Dive article was saying that they needed $100 million in cash before to close the Tilray deal, but I don't think that's what it meant. I'm pretty sure it means at the time of the closing, through the partnership with Tilray and High Trail Investments, HEXO is going to be left with $100 million in cash. But again, they've known about this since the beginning of the Tilray deal. I thought it was something new. And that's why I was a little concerned, and I kind of, was up in arms a little bit about it. But I wanted to get to the bottom of it because, again, if something negative happens, I want to know about it, right? But it turns out that this isn't new. This has been in the deal since the $100 million stipulation has been in the deal. But like I understand it, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I really don't think. I don't think that's how they. I don't think the Deep Dive perceived it correctly. Like I don't think they fully. Understood what it meant, because it wouldn't make any sense for HEXO to need $100 million, and they just did an at the market and they only raised 40. If they only have 14 million cash right now, why would they only raise 40 if they needed 100? Unless the CPG partner that they're going to be releasing within the next few weeks has some sort of cash injection, right? So again, there's multiple scenarios at play here. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but the reason why this whole thing started was because of the ATM starting. And the fees were being paid. Some of that was being paid to Tilray for the transaction fees, right? So that tells me the deal's progressing fine. I'm not worried about it anymore. I don't think it's not going to go through, if that's what you were referring to. Oh, Stuart asked the same question right after. There you go. I answered it. Why would the Tilray deal not close? So that's why. Again, I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. This whole Deep Dive article thing, they're saying they need $100 million before the Tilray deal closes. I'm not sure that's exactly what it means. I think it means that when the deal closes, they're going to be left with no less than $100 million in cash to operate. And then they're going to have access to $282 million through the backstop of Chaos Capital and Adam Arviv and their partners with Redican and whatnot. So again, the deal could, there's no certainties in life, right? I think there's probably a 99 to 95% chance it passes, but you can't say 100%, right? So again, if something comes up and I think it's new and I think it's something that could hurt the Tilray deal, I want to know about it, right? Because I don't want to be, a deer in the headlights. I want to know about it. I'm not married to any company, but until I see signs that, I don't just look at the share price. Yes, the share price has been brutal, but I also didn't add any more than I was willing to lose, and I've been dollar cost averaging, just slowly averaging in. A lot of people, I think, they just went too heavy too quickly. And granted, no one thought it was going to be a 16-month bear market, right? Especially when SPY was at an all-time high and everything else was bullish AF, right? But it's a lesson learned. And again, I'm down on all my MJ investments. If it was just HEXO, right? Like, there'd be a big problem. I wouldn't even be in HEXO right now. If the rest of my MJ stocks were doing awesome, like I own like 12 different MJ companies, some are LPs, some are MSOs, some are retailers, some are ETFs. And if all of them were up and HEXO is down at this state right now and at these levels, I would have been out long ago, right? Because there would have been major red flags. But the whole sector's down. It's just par for the course. And yeah, I'm just holding strong. I know MJ's not going to go away. MJ's is going to get huge, right? Like, just look at the potential for legalization on a global scale, the safe banking that could happen. Like, there's so many positive catalysts, right? Verano and Cresco, yeah, absolutely. Love those. Those are great entries here, in my opinion, and great long-term holds. Amon, nice one. Thanks for all the info. You're welcome. Thanks for coming on and staying on. Nuna Sneeze. I love that. I love that handle. Safe banking has no effect on LPs in the short term, right? Well, not like directly, but indirectly, yes, because it will it'll create hype in the sector. Yeah, like it won't permit them to do like ship across. Like, we need it to be descheduled. We need it to be no longer federally illegal for them to do that, to ship across the border and stuff. But yeah, for safe banking and access to, you know, so we can get credit cards and stuff like that, so that all these retailers in the US don't have to carry cash, because dealing with cash, you know, you're subject to robberies and things like that, right? You're more vulnerable to that kind of thing, which is just not good, right? Especially for, you know, people who are working minimum wage or something like that, and then their life is getting threatened, right? Just stupidity at its finest. Like, why? Like, in the digital age where we have crypto and everything now, like, why are we using cash? Like, this makes absolutely no sense. Anyways, no, it doesn't really have an effect directly, but it will indirectly because of the hype that it will create. And generally what we see is we see a run up, and then when we see the uplisting, the companies that uplist usually see a sell-off, right? It's a buy the rumor, sell the news. So it's a sell the news event type of thing. So just watch for that. That's what happened when CGC uplisted to the NASDAQ and the NYSE or whatever, when all the LPs uplisted to the U.S. major exchanges. But safe banking, yeah, it'll ignite the whole sector, right? And then I think they're going to get positioned first before the full-blown legalization, especially since institutional investors can already invest in them. Well, no, they're still restricted capital, right? They don't have access to traditional, like, financing in the U.S., right? Because it's still federally illegal. And again, they don't have access to credit cards and things like that. And that's all going to be done, right? They'll be able to charge a merchant fee and things like that. But no, institutional investors can. I don't think they can invest right now. Like, the floodgates haven't opened yet. Until it's, especially, you know, whenever they have all these different clients. Like, didn't JP Morgan not that long ago? Was it JP Morgan restricts cannabis stocks? Yeah, JP Morgan Chase to restrict trading in some U.S. cannabis, right on Forbes back in November. So we don't have any, like, the stigma is still really bad, right? Like, the floodgates haven't opened yet at all, right? And that's why you see when any positive news happens, that's why you see LPs go up, because they're on U.S. major exchanges. They have access to these huge liquidity pools, right? So that's why when I even did a video, check it out. Why are LPs going up more than U.S. MSOs on U.S. legalization news? You would think if the U.S. is legalizing, the U.S. companies are going up more. Well, no, because the big money is on the NYSE and the NASDAQ. What's on the NYSE and the NASDAQ? Not MSOs, the LPs, right? So it's indirectly going to help them. And you got to think, traders are going on there. It's not just all investors, right? Traders go where the money's at, and the money's on the NYSE and the NASDAQ where the liquidity is. Tilray had $2.5 billion traded in one day, and on that same day, Trulieve only had $12 million. So if you're a day trader with a couple $100,000 and there's only $12 million traded, that's not a lot of liquidity. The bid and the ask is going to be pretty crappy, right? The spread there. But if you're trading a ticker that traded $2.5 billion and you're trading a couple $100,000, or, you know, there's some day traders, you know, that trade millions of dollars. So they go where the momentum is and the liquidity is, right? So it's more than just institutions as well. You get those day traders that just don't enter the space right now. A lot of them don't. A lot of them trade OTC for the most part. Damn, missed the whole stream. Well, there's a refresh, replay, whatever you call it, rewind. But thanks for coming on. Thanks so much. You're welcome. Nuna Sneeze, thanks for the response. You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. All right, closing in on an hour. I got to start marching down to the Rogers Center, like I said, going to see the second round of the playoffs game tonight. We better win. We lost last game, so looking forward to it. But yeah, thanks again for joining us, everybody, on the Pursuit of Wealth after an hour, and we still got close to 20 people here. So I really appreciate you staying on, and hopefully everything was clear and concise. And again, if there's anything that pops up, let me know. Q&A Enterprise, you made it, my friend. I remember you said before JP restricted buying on crypto and Bitcoin as well prior to it running. Yep. Yeah, they told their employees in 2018 and 2019 if they bought crypto or if they even talked to their clients about it, they would fire them. And it was later on proven that JP Morgan was buying the most Bitcoin during that time frame. And now it's proven that they were an early investor in Ethereum before Ethereum even went public and ICO'd. Like before it was even purchased, before you and I could buy Ethereum, JP Morgan was already invested. Like, it's just sickening. And they're doing the same thing, right? The two most volatile, most lucrative, highest potential industries on the planet right now are crypto and MJ. You cannot find a better industry that could promise more growth over the next decade. Like, you can't. Crypto, we're talking maybe $100 trillion flowing into crypto over the next 10 to 20 years, right? In MJ, it's going to be way less than that. It's going to be like maybe, $1 trillion, but Bitcoin and crypto is going to get like access to $100 trillion because you're talking about the whole financial system, right? The derivatives market, you're talking about Nostro Vostro accounts, you're talking about, all these different, even stocks eventually will trade on the blockchain, right? And you'll be able to settle stocks. And because stocks, if you sell HEXO, you fill your price, but that transaction doesn't settle for like 3 days. That's why when tax selling, they say they encourage you to sell 3 days before because it takes 3 days to settle. But eventually, that's all going to be on the blockchain, and it'll settle like maybe on the XRP ledger or something like that that's designed for high volume of transactions, and that's scalable and green and energy, and it's carbon neutral. Then it'll settle in 3 seconds, right? And again, that doesn't really matter to you, but it matters to the liquidity and all the brokers. And, if you're sending money, remittances across the globe, well, if it takes 3 to 5, and people say, well, crypto's volatile. It's like, well, if it settles in 3 seconds, how much is the price of the crypto going to go up or down in 3 seconds? Probably not much. If I send fiat through the traditional remittance corridors, and it takes 3 to 5 business days, sometimes more, well, the dollar could fluctuate in value more than the crypto in 3 seconds, right? So, and it's not controlled by anybody. That's the whole idea of crypto is it's open source, right? Certain blockchains are not decentralized. They claim that they are, but that's a topic for another video. But yeah, it's all rigged. Thanks so much. You're welcome. Is the partnership confirmed? I've only heard about it from Quebec article, but nothing else. Well, it's been confirmed for like a year. Like they've talked about it like about a year ago in the AMA. And go to my video, my channel, search Trent McDonald AMA, Ask Me Anything. And he says in that was like a year ago, he talks about how they have a partnership with a Fortune 200 company. It's going to be functional foods, and it's going to be like a royalty deal. And then later on, SSL said it was going to be trialing in Quebec around the fall, and then it would be available in Q4 or Q1 of 2022. Obviously, he was way off in terms of timeline, but they also shuffled around the whole company. So then I emailed HEXO Investor Relations in October, and I said, is the Fortune 200 partner still signed? And they said, yes, it's still signed. We're working on the product portfolio. Can't wait to share the information, but they're basically under NDA, and until there's a press release, they can't say anything. So basically it's up to the CPG partner. And then Journal de Montréal, which they know they're going to be offering the first products through the SQDC. So the SQDC, right, the Société Québécoise du Cannabis, that's going to be Le Journal de Montréal that's covering that story, right? You're not going to see, Toronto Star covering SQDC thing, right? So the reason why we see Le Journal de Montréal is because of the Société de Québécoise du Cannabis, right? So that's why it's covering it, is because their target market right now and their pilot and their first distribution is going to be in the Quebec market. And Journal de Montréal was covering it. And again, it's going to be released within the next few weeks. And they said it was granola bars and much more food products. Again, that lines up exactly with what SSL and Trent told us in the AMA and in their conferences, that it was going to be functional foods. And it's going to be a Fortune 200 company. And he mentioned it's going to be Molson Coors caliber. So, yeah. It's not confirmed, but basically investor relations said that the deal was already signed. They didn't say we were going to sign. They said the deal is signed. HEXO has, I did a video on that as well. Deal or no deal, check that out. Just go to my channel or just search Pow Group Deal or No Deal HEXO and it'll come up. But yeah, it hasn't hit the mainstream yet. They'll save that for whenever the actual news comes out. What crypto coins do you recommend? I did another video on that one too. It's top 5 crypto holdings. Check that one out. But right now I've got my biggest holdings to smallest. I've got XRP, XLM, Litecoin, Link, EOS, Solo, Songbird, and then Dogecoin. I got a little bit. Dogecoin's my least one, just because of how much it's ran, and I'm on it just because. You never know. You don't bet against Elon. I think it could easily go to $1 or $2. I think you could see another 10x from here in an alt season. And is now a good time to get in? I think so, yep. I've been buying dollar cost averaging altcoins right now, just like I am with MJ, but I have more dollar-wise invested into crypto at the moment, like a lot more. But I have more cash than any other position. I have more cash than I have more dollars in cash, right, than all of my crypto investments and all of my MJ investments. And that's because we've just been we've been in a bear market, right? So, and we've been in a bull market for the last 2 years, but we've been in a bear market for MJ is what I meant. But, when is the broader market going to enter a bear market and a huge decline? I think it's going to be something like the .com days, right? Like 50% drop from all-time highs on the S&P. And again, it's just not financial advice, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, but that's just what I'm doing. Cool. Thanks for the answer. You're welcome, Patrick. What other MJ companies are you into or recommend? Somebody already asked that question too. I did a video. Just check out, just search on YouTube, Pow Group top 5 cannabis holdings. And not in that video, I didn't mention HITI, so High Tide. I really like them too. I did another video on High Tide as well as specific to High Tide on why I'm bullish on that one. But yeah, just go to my channel and there's a cannabis playlist there as well. But yeah, if you check the top 5 MJ holdings, I do my top 5 in the US and top 5 in Canada. But I got to mix and picks and shovels. I've got the, all the verticals from seed to sale. So I've got, LPs, I've got MSOs, I've got retailers, and I've got some ETFs, right? I've got some small caps, I've got some large caps. Most of my money's in large caps, like HEXO's my biggest holding. And then MSOS is my second biggest holding. The ETF tracks all the US ones. All right, guys, I got to get going. I got to leave here in about 5 minutes to go to the game, round 2 of the playoffs with the Oilers versus Kings. They beat us the first round, first game. So hopefully we come back with a vengeance here tonight. All right, going to end it there. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us on the stream. It's always a slice. I can't believe it's been an hour and 4 minutes. But yeah, thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Hopefully this was helpful. And going to put this story to rest, I think the Tilray deal is going to close. I'm about 95% sure, if not more, that we're going to see that deal close. And yeah, if there's anything that anybody finds out, if it's negative or positive, bring it up, right? We want to know about it and find out if there's any merit behind it, right? If we're not just all bull blinders here on this channel, especially myself. Like it might seem like I'm a perma bull sometimes, but that's just my optimistic nature. But it's also just experience, right? I've seen these 90% crashes in crypto, and I've experienced it. I've lost you know, tons of money before, and now I realize, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you have so much patience. Well, after you go through it once, like if you think this is the only time this is going to happen, where MJ is going to drop 80 or 90%, or we're going to be in a bear market, it will happen again and again and again and again. So next time it happens, you'll be better equipped, right? Maybe you can dollar cost average. Maybe you can save some cash on the side there. Maybe you can hedge. You can short the S&P 500. I did a video on a hedge game plan. You can check that out. Pretty much got a video for everything now. If you come across the internet troll, send them the what's worse than a Bitcoin maxi troll video that I did. That one's awesome. All right, going to end it there, guys, though. Thanks so much for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth once again. Always a pleasure. And thanks, Christian, for the super chat. Going to end it there. Have a great night, everybody.